when you came to Florida, you were known as a two-way player in high school. Like the biggest guy in high school's got to play all the sports, right? You have to.
Absolutely.
Back in those days, you had to play every sport. But
Absolutely.
a lot of people don't remember that you played basketball with the SEC championship team, and so you got a ring for that too, right?
Yep. Got a ring for that. Of course, I was, in the same recruiting class with the guys, Torian, Al, Joe, and Corey Brewer. I knew all those guys coming out of high school through AAU travel ball. Chris Richards was actually on the team the year before I got to Florida, but he was kind of like my best friend, and we played AAU ball together. So, that time was special for me. I often tell people like some of the, plays I've learned from Billy Donovan at that time, I use it right now with my girls basketball team.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. It's a little overcast today, which is why I'm getting a little more of a shadow. We've got to get this fixed. I'm going to get a light up here that's a lot brighter, just so. And again, I don't think anybody is interested in looking at me. I'm not saying it from a vain standpoint. It just sometimes looks a little shadowy. But anyway, we are really happy to be joined today by Cornelius Ingram. I can't wait for that interview. Of course, his son, CJ, coming to play here. And we'll talk to him about his career. And of course, a lot of people don't remember he played basketball in Florida for a while. Of course, Monday, we're back to Coach Spurrier, and that'll be fun. Can't wait to hear about his golfing tales. And then the following Thursday, a week from today, it'll be Urban Meyer. So pretty good shows coming up. Today, I did spend a lot of time on the phone, and I'm going to talk about Coach Napier in a minute, speaking of the quarterback club. But I spent a lot of time trying to get a couple of guys locked in. I got Alex Brown's locked in now. We think it's going to be September 2nd. That date could change once the schedule is coming out next Wednesday. Then the Charles Davis has been cemented in November 4th, I think it is. I think it was the 24th, though. So I better go back and look at that. But anyway, he's going to be here too. We really got a great lineup going, and I'll talk about Coach Napier in a minute. So anyway, that's how I spent most of my morning after I got done with my script for another duly noted podcast, which is what you're tuning in to hear. All right, so let's get to it. We'll start off as we always do with our Royal Blues starting five, brought to you by Randy Royal over there at Royal Blue. We're about to that point where you just want to go out in a boat and jump in the water, at the Matanzas Inlet or the St. Johns River or the ocean, wherever it is. My favorite's the Matanzas Inlet. I love going there. And Randy can hook you up over there as well. All right, let's get to number one on our Royal Blue starting five. Now, I always start this, when I say number one, to me, this is the biggest story since I last spoke to you, okay? So if it's a little bit earlier, not current, that's why. But to me, the biggest story that happened here was Todd Golden's extension, which we all knew was coming. No big surprise. During the run that they had, and late in the year, there were people calling our radio show saying, hey, Florida's got to give him an extension. And Jeff would always point out, they just gave him an extension. But the thing people didn't, I don't think, really grasped was that the extension was a very nice extension, the first one, but there was only so much his people could ask for, his agent and all that, because he hadn't won an NCAA tournament game. He had not won a conference championship. He was everybody thought he was a good coach, and he got Florida to the tournament in year 2. But he didn't exactly inherit a mess. He came in during the portal, NIL was already at its peak and did such a great job. But then he won 6 NCAA tournament games. When you win 6 NCAA tournament games, I guess the only way you could not win the championship would be if you played the play-in game, but I don't think anybody's going to do that. But that changed the landscape. Now, he's getting $6.75 million if you average it out. Big bonus. The buyout actually comes down look, after 4 years, he could say, I think I've done all I need to do here. I'm going to take the North Carolina job, I'm trying to think of jobs that would be better. North Carolina, Duke. I don't know that Kentucky's a better job. It's not for everybody. And it wasn't for Billy Donovan. Think about that. He was offered at least twice, and I think 3 times. I know of 2, but I've heard 3. The Kentucky job, and said, I don't want to talk to you guys about it. I don't want to get in that mess. I know what the mess is like. And the mess is the best fans in the world. Like Kansas can be a mess too, same way. They aren't as vicious, Kansas fans. I always said Kansas fans, because I was around them a lot, were younger and drunker than Kentucky fans. But maybe they don't get irritated as easily. Anyway, all that said, Todd Golden now the 4th highest paid coach in college basketball. That's what happens when you win championships. Championships are very important, as we all know. And I'm very happy about this. I think you should be happy about it. I think you should be happy that Florida is willing to go to the mat and say, we're going to do what we need to do to keep this coach here. A little bit later in the show, I'm going to tell you about some news that came out that maybe it makes it easier for them to do those kind of things. But anyway, the point is they locked him up. He can still leave at any time, and the buyouts, go down and blah. We just have to wait and see what happens there. But I think he's happy here. I really do. And I think he likes what he's building and sees the potential to build, a team that's going every year and has a chance to win it maybe every other year. And that, look, nobody wins the tournament every year. UConn was the closest thing, winning 2 in a row. Florida back in 06 and 08 or 07, 06 and 07, winning 2 in a row. That's about as good as it gets. It's hard to do. And in the portal world now, it's really going to be hard to do. But just keep getting there. Hopefully you have a team like this one that has this incredible chemistry, that is there to play for the Gators, that cares about their teammates, that cares about their coach, and he cares about them. You add all that, the culture they have built over there is a big reason why you give this guy this kind of raise. Now, I know that eventually down the road, things could go south. We all know it happens. We've seen guys get fired a year after being SEC Coach of the Year. But the point is, you have to lock him up now. If it comes to a point where you have to pay him to go away, which I can't imagine, okay? But I'm just saying there will be people that will be saying, I don't know why we had to give him that kind of a buyout. We never should have given him that kind of buyout. This is why you give him the buyout. You're giving it to him now. You're not giving it to him later. The buyout is now. It's what you've done now and how teams are going to come after you, and they will. And they will. Let me tell you what, when there are going to be some big schools, they're going to change jobs, coaching positions, and we'll see what happens. But he's here for now, and that's the main thing. By the way, the other coaches that make more than Todd Golden are Bill Self is number 1, Calipari is number 2, and Hurley's number 3. By the way, Florida will be playing UConn next year. I think it's December 9th in Vegas. And Jimmy V Classic, so that'll be really cool too. So there's my basketball talk for the week. Let's move along to number 2 on our Royal Blue starting 5, which is softball. Really disappointing, and I know they're disappointed. I know Tim Walton's disappointed, and the players are, and I am as a fan because I wanted to watch softball all weekend. That was my plan: softball and baseball, and maybe some golf thrown in, and some NBA thrown in. I have a nice weekend, and I got no softball to watch. Selection show, I can watch that Sunday. I think is at 9 o'clock. But if you didn't watch the game, I watched some of it, and then I went away to eat dinner. My friend Jim Myers gave us some scallops, and my daughter Kelsey cooked them up last night. It was unbelievable, I can tell you that. So anyway, I stepped away, but then I came back. I shouldn't have come back because so they're down 3-0. They give up a 3-run homer, make it 3-1. They go to the bottom of the seventh. You figure the game's pretty much over. Instead, Jocelyn Erickson hits a homer. Shoemaker, Miss Clutch, I guess I should call her, hits a homer. Solo bombs. They had a chance, runner on third with 2 out, couldn't get the run in to walk it off. Instead, Ole Miss hits another 3-run home with 2 outs, so had a chance to get out of it. But hey, those things happen. They loaded the bases in the bottom of the 8th and just couldn't get the big hit. So it is what it is, and now they come home early, and maybe it's good. Maybe you tell because it may have cost Florida a national seed, that loss, because they're a borderline team anyway. Their RPI is incredible. It's number 2 in the country, but the records in the SEC is not overwhelming, although the SEC is the best conference. You got to keep somebody out, and not everybody from the SEC is going to be a national seed. So I don't know if this is going to affect it or not, but we'll find out on Sunday night. Yeah, so looking forward to finding out what happens there. Anyway, softball, no softball to watch this weekend, unless you're a fan of, I don't know, Ole Miss. All right, let's get to number 3 on Royal Blue starting 5. So it was not a good week. All the stuff I talked about on Tuesday night at the Quarterback Club about how much Florida had done since they won the national championship kind of went out the window this week. Because, baseball was 13-2, loses to South Florida. Not only loses, but loses 7-1. Maybe the Colby Shelton injury showed up finally. It didn't really show up against last weekend against South Carolina, but maybe it did this week. I will say this. I'm at the point now where, and I hate to call guys out, but if Alex Philpott goes in a game again, I'm going to be not happy. He just doesn't have it. And I don't know if it's the lack of a clutch gene. I think his stuff's pretty good. The lack of being able to get the ball over, but he didn't have walks in this game. But I don't know. I can't explain him. I think he's got better stuff than he's performed. And that was a big 3 runs again, but you scored 1 run against USF. Come on, man. So not a great week for those 2 sports. We'll get to the sport that did have a good week. But first, I want to go to number 4 on our Royal Blue starting 5, and that is Billy Napier's talk on Tuesday night to the Quarterback Club, which we've been talking about for days, or weeks, actually, that it was coming up. Was incredibly genuine and honest. There is a rule that what happens at the Quarterback Club stays at the Quarterback Club. There were some things that he revealed that I can't repeat. They were really interesting, and at least I have those on Deep Background. There were 2 things, and I checked with Mike Floyd over at the Quarterback Club that I did want to talk about that he said, because I know he'll be fine with it. And I think I know him well enough to know that he'll be fine with it. One of them was that I said in my presentation, I had a great joke too, man. You would love this one. So here's what I said. I go, I think Florida's got the best roster they've had since 2012, because you can go to the 2020 roster had no defense. 2012, that Muschamp team, really good offense, not exceptional offense, but Driscoll could do things, and you had a great running backs and a really good defense, and you won 11 games. I think it has the best roster since that day. So could Florida make the playoffs? Yes. Could Florida win the national championship? Look, we have an incoming president named Santa. Anything can happen. That was pretty good. I like that one. I always had to come up with a joke because Lisa King puts the pressure on me to be funny. But anyway, So one thing he said afterwards, that he agreed. So I feel like I'm okay saying that I agree that we do have the best roster since I've been here anyway. He obviously doesn't know about 2012. That the enthusiasm he spoke with about the players on his team and the depth on his team. Dijon Johnson gets in trouble this week. That's another negative of the week. But I don't know how serious it's going to be. It sounded serious. Then I'm hearing other things. So let's just wait and see, like you always should, on that. Hopefully it's not serious. Anyway, so the other thing I did want to talk about that I don't think Coach will have a problem with me talking about is when he was discussing this house settlement and how they're going to have to get rid of a bunch of walk-ons and literally cut the walk-ons at some point in camp. It sounded like to me like the last couple of weeks of camp, you got to cut a bunch of walk-ons because there's no room for them according to this because of the settlement. They have like 125 players. You're going to have 105, and that's it. And that's all you can have on your team. And the reason I'm bringing this up, we all know this is coming. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen. It happened again. They had another delay last night. But what I was going to tell you guys is that Coach Napier got very emotional talking about that. You could see it in his eyes that he was welling up. The thought of having to go into a kid who's busted his butt all through the spring, all through the fall, and just say, we just don't have room for you because somebody lost a lawsuit. I get why he's emotional. I would get emotional thinking about that as well. So anyway, I will say this. So the speech was incredible. Everybody walked out of there fired up, ready to go. He's very good at talking to big crowds. One of the best I've ever seen because he makes you want to believe. He really does. And I do. I'm one of the believers. I had a whole thing prepared that I never got to because it was so funny. I was talking to my wife about it. I said, it was like, I got paid to do a 3-minute bit. That's all they had time for because Coach was there on time, which he never is. But they aren't practicing. I think that was the biggest reason. He was there on time. So they go, oh, Coach is here. So keep it short. I go, what do you want? 5 minutes? They go, yeah. That probably, yeah, I'll be all right. And then somebody came up later. Oh, it's Paul from Gator Boosters came up and goes, Coach is getting antsy. I'm like, I'll keep it to 3. How about that? But I got these 2 really good jokes. The other one, I'll tell you too. This was a good joke too. And this is true, that when they changed the date of it, I postponed my colonoscopy that I was supposed to have Tuesday. I had to postpone it because I wanted to be there for Napier and I wanted to introduce his opening big kind of kicking off the college football season. And I said, yeah, so I had to postpone my colonoscopy. Of course, the first half of last season was kind of like having a colonoscopy. And Billy got up and said, yeah, I postponed my colonoscopy too. But he was funny. Anyway, it was funny. I had a great time. It's just part of what the quarterback club can do for you. And they are, we're, like I said, we are lining them up. Kevin Carter, Alex Bound, Charles Davis, Andy Staples, Scott Strickland. There's others. Noah Brandeis, Billy Donovan, Laura Rutledge. What a speakers list we're going to have this year. I am excited about it. It's going to make it even more fun to go there. And it was also great to see all the people that I'm friends with that I see all the time there. And it's always great seeing them. All right, let's get to number 5 on our Royal Blue starting 5. And that would be that somebody did get it done this week. And that would be the women's golf team who went to Charlottesville and played their little tails off and won. They didn't win, but they qualified for the NCAA Big Championship. So it's just like if you went to a regional in baseball, like they do now, and you won the regional, then you go to the super regional, and then you win that, you go to Omaha. One in gymnastics and women's golf and some of the other sports, you go to a regional, and if you get in this certain spot, you get to go to the national championship, which is actually at La Costa, which will be pretty sweet for the young ladies. They played really well. They were never in danger. And this is a team, don't forget, made up of 3 sophomores and 2 freshmen. So the future is bright. The immediate future is bright. And this has certainly been, I mean, they got to the finals of the SEC. I watched that. I think it was LSU beat them. Was it 3-1-1, I believe. So, I mean, Emily Glasser is doing a heck of a job over there with the women's golf. And I wanted to give a positive note to finish up our Royal Blue starting 5 because we did talk about Coach Golden's thing, but softball and baseball did not have good weeks. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a break. And then when we come back, we will talk to Cornelius Ingram, talk to him about a lot of things, including his son, CJ. This is another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. Hey, let's talk about something that's been a real game changer for many people, including me. BMI TeleMed is one of our sponsors. They're the weight loss specialists and can help you tackle that stubborn belly fat. You know, the kind that usually creeps up once you hit your 40s. Bob Parado and Charlie Gonzalez, 2 UF-trained pharmacists, work with their medical director to prescribe and deliver the same meds that helped me lose 50 pounds. Yep, 50 pounds. That belly fat, it's not just about looks. It's unhealthy and makes you feel sluggish. Now is the time to do something about it before football season rolls around again. If you're anywhere in Florida, BMI TeleMed, simple online telehealth platform makes it easy. Your weight loss meds get delivered right to your door fast. From my experience, you feel full sooner, eat less, but can keep enjoying the foods that you love, just in smaller portions. Plus, it helps with blood sugar and cravings. Do yourself a favor, head to bmitelemed.com to set up a free private consultation. No obligations, no contracts. These Gators know their stuff. You'll look better, feel better, and be healthier. Visit bmitelemed.com today.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at the Ponderosa. It is a great pleasure to bring in one of my favorite players of all time, and certainly one of my favorite coaches of all time, Cornelius Ingram. And I mean, let's see, you're coaching women's basketball, boys football, bottle washer. Are you cooking the meals too?
Weightlifting. This was the first year I didn't do track and field. But yeah, kind of got my hands into everything.
Yeah, you really do. But I mean, I think that's really cool that you've been able to do that in your home community. You know, I mean, I've told you this story before. My wife always was freaked out that you and your brother were the only students at school every day. And it was in the paper. There was a story in the paper. You went to every class. And I'm sure that comes from your parents, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. They definitely didn't play that. My mom was actually worked on campus. So even if we showed up, there was no way we could skip and leave campus with other students or anything like that. But my parents definitely had everything to do with that.
Yeah, they did a great job. What about, let's just talk a little bit about your coaching. And I wanted to talk about you as a player too, but your coaching, it's, I mean, you stay busy with it all the time. It's got to be a lot of fun though, to see all that success that you've had, you know, and just the immediate gratification that comes with that.
Yeah. Right. It's truly a blessing, Pat. I was just talking with someone the other day, and they asked me how did I get into coaching, and I think before I never even thought about coaching. Never even thought about coaching. Our school was struggling. It was a D letter grade school, and our principal approached me about being the head football coach, right? And you talk about a job not being attractive, right? The account was in the negative. I think there were maybe 15 guys on the football team. The 3 seasons before I took over, I think it was maybe one win in those 3 seasons, maybe two, maybe two. But right, the program was in a bad spot. The school was in a bad spot academically, and right, kind of just took a leap of faith and took the head coaching job and kind of had my hands involved in other sports as well. And then definitely don't want to make it about myself. I formed a really good coaching staff around me going into it. And we've been able to help young women, young men develop not only as athletes, but as human beings as well. And probably, the cherry on top for me, you kind of said it earlier, right? I get to do it in my community where I grew up, all of the people that I know. So through athletics, through academics, we've been able to give our town and our community a lot of hope.
Yeah, absolutely. You've done a lot of great things there, and that's certainly special. And of course, when you were deciding to go to Florida, I mean, you had to know that you could come back there, and I'm sure that, as it did with CJ, came into the decision. Everybody can come watch me play. All my relatives, all my friends, people I know can come watch me play. I'm sure it was the same way with you.
Same way. Yep, the same exact way with me. I wanted to be close to home. Of course, I was in love with the University of Florida, and I think about some of those times when I was in college, and a lot of guys who I played with were from other states. Right, they would come home with me to get a home cooked meal. They would come down to Hawthorne and play pickup basketball on Sundays. So it was a lot. No, not only was it helpful for me, but there's a lot of other guys transitioning from being away from their families and didn't really know how to deal with it. So a lot of them also attended church with me. So uh, just giving them an outlet, even though they're not home, trying to give them that home feel, made it comfortable for them while they were at the UF.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I do want to go back and talk to you about your career. And of course, when you came to Florida, you were known as a two-way player in high school. Like everybody, the biggest guy in high school's got to play all the sports, right? You have to.
Absolutely,
Back in those days, you had to play every sport. But
absolutely.
a lot of people don't remember that you played basketball with the SEC championship team, so you got a ring for that too,
Yep.
right?
Yep, got a ring for that. Of course, I was, in the same recruiting class with the guys, Torian, Al, Joe, and Corey Brewer. Um, I knew all those guys coming out of high school through AAU travel ball. Chris Richards was actually on the team the year before I got to Florida, but he was kind of like my best friend, and we played AAU ball together. So, that time was special for me. I often tell people like some of the plays I've learned from Billy Donovan at that time. I use it right now with my girls basketball team. How to run a practice. A lot of the things that I learned that basketball season with Billy Donovan, I use it with my girls, and right, I also implement some of the things my older brother would do with his boys basketball team, and they've had a lot of success. But it was still a special moment for me. Right, I was able to play in games. I was able to you know have that opportunity to witness, playing in the SEC championship or being around it. So the following years when they won it all, right, of course, not myself, but everyone was like, man, you stopped playing basketball a little too soon. And then, of course, they went on and won two back-to-back, but luckily we were able to get two in football.
That is really kind of interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. How you got to play for Billy Donovan and Urban Meyer, and you took everything,
Mhm.
and that is one reason you are a successful coach
Yep.
because you sponged
Yep.
it all up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, sponged a lot from those guys. When I was drafted into the NFL, of course, I was under Andy Reid. So there's some offensive plays I learned from him. Of course, offensive plays I learned from Coach Meyer. And I can remember when I first got the head coaching job, I hadn't spoken to Urban Meyer probably maybe like 2 or 3 years. He reached out the first day that it was in the media, and I went over and I had lunch with him. He had the lake house in Melrose, and probably one of the first things he said was, "Whatever you do, hire coaches and allow them to coach and do their job." And I use it still to this day, Pat. Of course, my brother is also my offensive coordinator. We don't always agree on the same calls. Um, like a lot of these guys who are on my staff, they're Hawthorne alum. They probably went off to college, played ball, got their degrees. And then there's guys from the area who's also on this coaching staff. But we don't always agree on Friday nights, right? But never have I turned around and disrespected these guys in front of our team, because I feel like if there's division amongst the coaches, there's going to be division in the locker room. And these kids watch everything you do. So I respect them as men, but I've been blessed and fortunate enough to play for some great coaches, probably Hall of Fame coaches, and I've been able to use a lot of the things that I learned from them with my programs.
I want to ask you about your son, obviously about to become a Gator. I guess he's probably on campus now, isn't he? Or getting ready to come on campus.
Monday. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, we're excited about it. I mean, we always love
Yep.
legacies, but especially because
Yep.
I've known you for a long time. It's really cool
Yep.
that he's going to be there. What's it going to be like for you, though, because you have high school football games on Friday night, and they're going to have some road basketball games. I don't know if you're going to be able to get them all.
I'll attend. I'll attend as many as possible. And again, through my coaching career, I've had some success. So there's been job offers not only for bigger high schools out of the state, but also I could have started my college coaching career maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But even now, I wanted to continue to coach football because my schedules are still a little bit more flexible than a college coach. So I'll attend as many games as possible. But CJ, he's one of those guys. He knows I'm always watching. I'm always pulling for him, and he'll definitely be fine. But I'll definitely be at a lot of the games, especially when we don't have a football game.
Yeah, you do have cable. I mean, you can watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
all the games out there in Hawthorne. I don't know, but I think they have cable. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to watch what he's able to do. And I mean, I know that this team's going to have a lot of pressure on it because of what happened last year, which is not fair to this. But what do you think? What is the best thing he's going to bring to this team next year?
Well, I can say this, Pat. I think when he was younger, we would do a lot of one-on-one workouts, and in those workouts, right, I'm saying a lot of things to push certain buttons to see how he would react. I'm being physical with him in drills. He'll be ready for any moment, and I think probably the most important thing, he doesn't demand the ball, right? I think a lot of times, especially now, and I've traveled with him the past summers where we're on the road every weekend out of state with AAU basketball, and all you can see is guys taking bad shot after bad shot. Now, granted, some of these guys are highly ranked in the nation, and it's maybe 3 or 4 of them on the floor at one time. Right, so a lot of these guys are ball dominant. They want to score, but for CJ, he does so many things without scoring the basketball. He's probably, to me, and of course, a lot of people say I'm biased. I think he's probably the best two-way player in this high school class. He takes playing defense very serious. He's very smart. He can offensive rebound and push the ball up the floor because he's a guard or a wing. And he's a great passer. So all of these things, right, you're doing without, putting pressure on yourself on scoring the ball. And that's hard to do. That's a talent. And a lot of people don't understand that, right? You have guys jacking up shots and they never go in, right? You're just not a natural scorer sometimes, right? And that's just what it is. But for him, he can score the ball, but that's not the most important thing to him. He's going to make all the little plays to help win games. And I think that'll help get him on the floor early. He's a locker room guy, team player, and very coachable.
Well, he sounds like a perfect Todd Golden player because that's what Todd asked for. Guys that can, what do you do when you don't have the ball? What do you do? We're telling you to do. Do you get open? Do you go off screens to get it in your hands? So that'll be great. What was that recruiting process like for you? Because you didn't want to. Nobody wants to push their kid anywhere. Okay, you want your decision.
Yep. Great question. So he took his visit almost around this time, maybe early June last summer, and it was right before all the other offers started coming up. And I remember being on the visit. I could see him interacting with the coaches. And once we were finished, I think the second day, Pat, he was ready to commit. So I was like, whoa, like you sure you don't want to go on other visits? And right before then, like I said, Florida offered him that weekend. So now I think maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks, he blows completely up. He blows up, right? Kansas, right? Georgetown, Texas A&M, all these schools offering him, Michigan. And now, right, times are a little different. And I asked him, I was like, yo, you want to go on any visits? Kid you not, he said no. He said no. And these schools were calling, and he's a very respectful kid. He answered every phone call. He was polite to all of the coaches. But I knew he was in a tough spot, and I knew where his heart was. And not only as a player going through it, Pat, but as a coach, I see the recruitment process done the wrong way. And a lot of parents put themselves in front of the kid, and they want the kid to make decision based off their feelings or what school they like. And I wanted to make sure CJ enjoyed this process. I actually thought going on visits would be something he wanted to do, just to say, I went on these visits, but of course I chose Florida. No, yeah. It was the University of Florida was the only visit he took. He knew when we were on the visit. So we didn't go any places, which was totally fine with me. Of course, I wanted him to be a Gator, but I wanted him to also enjoy the process and make this decision on his own. And it came natural for him. And that's probably the biggest blessing for me. I didn't have to, twist his arm or say, these were my experiences there. This is what can happen over there. He went through that process, and that process was just being at UF on his own. And, of course, I was happy with the decision.
All right, it is time to play. Of course, Cornelius Ingram's coming to you on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. It's time to play yes, no, way, or maybe with him. I have one other question, though. So when CJ gets done with Florida, when he's done playing, that's when you take a college job?
I'm not gonna say yes to that, but I mean it is hard. I gotta say it is hard. A lot of people has recognized the great work that we've been able to do here. And of course, my players here, former players here, and it feels great to be appreciated, of course.
Yeah.
But when I feel like the right person is willing to step in and take over this job, because this place means everything to me. I can remember going through the process when people were saying that the school was too small, right? No college coaches would come through here, and to be able to prove a lot of people wrong, and then come back and help your community have a lot of success on and off the field, on and off the court. That's priceless, man. You can't put a price tag on it.
I remember when there were weeds growing in the stadium. So when I used to drive by.
Yeah, it was bad. It was
Yeah.
really bad.
All right, let's play Yes, Nowhere, maybe with Cornelius Ingram, brought to you by Big Meals Cheesesteaks. Street dining done the right way. Go in there and say you listen to this podcast or watched it, and you get free French fries with your order at Big Meals Cheesesteak. We appreciate Keith Miller over there. Okay, number one, you can still handle CJ inside.
Not anymore. I tell you this, last fall, I think he was in the gym doing basketball workouts, and we had just started football practice. So maybe it was August. It was August. So he was doing basketball workouts, and the entire team walked into the gym, and they were right behind me, and he was in here working out. And I kind of went out on the floor, and I got in the defensive stance. And the entire team went crazy. They wanted to see us go one-on-one right then. Now, of course, I wasn't in any shape or anything to play him one-on-one, but he's in great shape. There's no way I can handle CJ right now. No way.
He go right by you?
Yeah, he probably. Well, I'm pretty competitive. So I lift and I run some days. So I'm not in tip-top shape, but right, that competitive in me will definitely come out. I don't think he'll just go by me and have like 2 or 3 dunks in a row. Nah. Maybe a hard foul.
That's right. All right, number two on Yes, Nowhere, maybe. You have a lot of rings now. You look at the 2 national championship rings in football differently because obviously one of them you weren't able to play all year.
I do. But the crazy thing is, I look at the high school ones that I won more.
Really?
And only because, right, I knew what it took to get those rings. And just like you said, remember Ryan Bossy and the weeds on the game field, right? A lot of those championships that I've been able to win here, they were won with players who, right, someone probably walked out of their lives or right, limited equipment, not enough jerseys for every player. So when you win in that type of fashion, Pat, it erases a lot of things. And I know the Gator Nation might be upset with this, but those high school rings almost tops those college rings for me. And of course, there's a lot of personal reasons with that, but yeah.
Okay, so I'm just trying to think how many you got. 06 and 08. How many high school rings do you have?
Girls, 3 for girls basketball, 2 for football. Now, our boys won the state championship 2020. I'm never on the bench with my coaching polo on, but I'm right behind the bench yelling and coaching. So my brother got me a ring 2020, and he's going to get me a ring for just winning it this past season.
That's and an SEC championship ring, right?
And SEC.
So that's 10.
Yeah,
You got 10.
Yeah.
You got to get a little box to hold them in.
I have them. I'll send you a picture. I have a really nice case with all of them in there. Sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, number one on Yes, Nowhere, maybe with Cornelius Ingram, you prefer coaching girls to boys?
Maybe, right? Because sometimes
they do what they're told,
girls,
right?
Yeah. The girls, they think that they're the boss. I will say this with my girls, they're around me year round. Like I've mentioned before, most of the time they're my water girls for the football team. But these guys will sometimes, right, if I get on them at practice, right, the next day they're scared to walk by my office. Right. The girls, if I get on to them, right, they'll come by, they'll speak 3-4 times a day. Right. And I don't know, the boys, they take it personal. They don't get out of their feelings as fast as the girls. But being able to coach both of them here, dream come true.
Well, it's a dream come true to have you on the show, CI. We love having you, man. It's great to see your success, and I cannot wait to watch your son play basketball this year. I know that it was fun for you this year watching your future.
Yep.
I mean, you were a Gator either way, but I mean, the fact that your son was getting ready to go play, that had to be fun. All right, that's going to do it for our time with CI. Thanks again, Cornelius. We'll be back with more of another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break. At Royal Blue, we use such tools as AI, bulk email marketing, trade shows, Google search advertising, and multiple websites. We take a much more proactive approach to getting your boat sold in a timely manner. With our extensive client list and broker-dealer network, we can track down vessels that might be perfect for you and your family, that may not even be listed for sale yet, giving you the right of first refusal. We have spent the last 15 years in boat sales, observing and listening to our clients. In response to our findings, we have constructed a custom yacht brokerage that strives to fit their needs and not ours. Call us today to schedule a consultation to see what Royal Blue can do to solve all of your boating needs. Call Randy at 850-974-1294. Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at the Ponderosa. Appreciate CI for being on, man. I thought he was really interesting and very forthcoming, and interesting to talk about the recruiting. How he wouldn't take, all these schools came in and he wouldn't take any visits. He talking about his son CJ, of course. I did want to ask him if it hurts when there's rain coming, like it does with my knees. My knees are artificial and it still hurts. But he had, if you remember, of course, had that ACL at Florida and missed the 2008 season, and then had another one with Philly. So, but he's getting around good, and what a great job he's doing. And I think the stuff he was talking about with his community and how he has helped lift up that community is really impressive stuff. All right, let us get to our fun stuff we do every third segment. We'll start off with our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week. BMI TeleMed, your weight loss specialist. Achieve and maintain. Call 727-383-1677 to have a consultation, and 10% off if you mentioned that you heard it on another Duly Noted podcast. Appreciate BMI TeleMed. All right, our smart move of the week came from the UAA. And the UAA, and I know the committee, I know people that are on the committee, Rick Clarson's one of them, announced their Hall of Fame class. And it's a good class, very good class. Some of them are not unexpected. Lauren Hager had to go in right away, man. You know that. But the smart move was they always give this award. It's Gator Great Award. It's not a Gator Great Award. It's a Distinguished Letter Winner or something. Whatever it is, it's just words, But it's an important award, and great people have gotten it. And they gave it this time to my friend Phil Farr, which made me very happy. Phil is the biggest Gator that's ever lived. I mean, this guy went to school here, as a long snapper, never had a bad snap. Went to immediately started working the booster office after he got out of school, and has been there ever since. It has been around so many things, big things that have happened. Mainly has raised a lot of money for the University of Florida, and to put him in makes me very, very happy. It almost makes me want to go to it. I probably won't, but the thing is, the Hall of Fame, I've never been invited to it. It's weird. The one time I was invited was by a friend, and then we couldn't go. But they never invite me to it. But that isn't why I don't go, because I've been told that if I really wanted a ticket, somebody would get me one. I just don't want to sit that long and listen to that many people talk. But that's the old man in me. It's just like I played golf yesterday, and I was thinking I played really well for me. I went par to start. And I was thinking, maybe this is the day you shoot 70. And when I got done, I only played 9 holes. That's all I can handle right now. And when I got done, though, I said, you're going to have to get a lot older before you can shoot your age. So I didn't shoot my age. I guess I technically shot 40, so 40 is less than my age. All right, that is our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week. I got off on a ramble there. Sorry about that. All right, let's get our Hesser and Kipke 3 things up next. Of course, you guys all know the great people at Hesser and Kipke. Ken and Jen just do an amazing job with family law and workers' compensation. You can call them at 352-339-9920 or reach them at www.h.hklawfl.com. Hesser and Kipke. All right, 3 things. Big time trade. Jerry Jones was saying all along that he was going to have significant trade, and then nothing happened on draft night. So everybody kind of goes, "Oh, Jerry, I thought you were supposed to do something," and he didn't. So everybody was like freaking out for some reason, and I was like, "Well, it's not over yet." They make the trade. They get George Pickens, which is a great second receiver, maybe a great one. I don't know. He's maybe fallen off a little bit, but I don't think he had the greatest quarterback selling to him last year. But now you take CD Lamb on one side and Pickens on the other, and the slot guy should just prosper. The tight ends should prosper. I think it's the first smart move they've made in a long time. That is a big story with the Cowboys getting Pickens and just for draft picks. All right, let's go to number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, and that is that Steph Curry, my favorite player. I've said this a million times. The reason I like Golden State is I love Steph Curry, and just love him as a player. Love watching him play. I just love everything about him. But he's out for a week, and of course, there's a lot of games coming up. They could get him probably back, but I don't know how you're going to do this without him. It's going to be interesting. And of course, there's a lot of big games going on, but and the playoffs are going to continue to go on. We'll talk about them as it gets deeper into them, I'm sure. But that's going to be an interesting thing. When they won game 1, I was stunned of this series. But of course, with Curry out, it's going to be hard to do. But hey, anything is possible, right? We have a Santa for president. All right, finally, number 3 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Cam Rising. You know that name, I know, and the reason Gator fans know Cam Rising better than a lot of quarterbacks is because for 2 years in a row, we were wondering if he was going to play in the game. Well, first year, we knew that you had to stop him. He was the biggest thing. Second year is when you didn't know if he was going to play. It turned out he didn't. Turned out he never played. ACL went bad. And then yesterday, he announced that he is retiring from football. He's not going to try to get any more time. He had a hand injury last year, and that's why he missed some time. He played, got hurt, played a little more, then shut it down, and now he's retiring. They're telling him the surgery they're going to have to do, he's never going to be able to pick up a football again. That's really sad. Cam Rising was fun to watch, and I hate Look, he also played 100 years, and that's kind of ridiculous. That the college football has different sets of rules for different circumstances and different people and different lawyer capabilities, but it is what it is. Cam Rising, I always enjoyed watching him play, and sorry to see him go, but it is about time. No offense, dude. All right, that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let's move next to this, that, and the other. It is brought to you by Ironwood Golf Course. I did want to mention something about Ironwood Golf Course. The young ladies out there, the Classy Chicks, have taken over the restaurant area, have a food truck out there. They're having their grand opening. They've been open, but they've been kind of getting everything together. It's going to have music and all kinds of specials and everything like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. That is Friday. So it's Friday. I've got it right here at 5 o'clock. They'll have samples of different foods, hors d'oeuvres, stuff like that. Classy Chicks at Ironwood. And then on Sunday, in fact, I think Kelsey's working this. Sunday, they're going to have a big Mother's Day special where they're going to have all kinds of special, like chickens and waffles and stuff like that. Bottomless mimosas for all the women. So I just wanted to mention those things. I know that we talk a lot about Ironwood and things that have gone. Look, there's been a tough transition here on the greens and everywhere. I mean, everything changed. But I just wanted to help them out as far as getting this going. Their grand opening, May 9th, which is Friday. Isn't it Friday? No, it's tomorrow. What's today? Oh, yeah. Today's Thursday, you dummy. Friday, tomorrow, 5 o'clock. Be there. Aloha. And then their Mother's Day special is going on Sunday, obviously. So we may actually roll in there, have some mimosas. So anyway, just wanted to get that out. Okay, Ironwood is one of the sponsors. Another sponsor, of course, is Darshackow Insurance. We love them over there at Darshackow and Ballyhoo Grill. I still think the best wings in town come from Ballyhoo Grill. It's just my thought. But all right, let's get to this, that, and the other. This is that ACC hoops used to really matter. It used to be a big deal. And a big thing would be how many teams are they getting in? And so that is that this year was the ultimate embarrassment for the ACC. The ACC got 4 teams in. They barely got the 4th in. In fact, it was questionable. We all know North Carolina, in our opinion, shouldn't have gotten in. So that got them the 4th team in. So they should have gotten 3 in. And meanwhile, the SEC gets 14. And they're going like, what happened here? How did this happen? How did the SEC blow by us? So the ACC gets together and very smartly comes up with the other. And the other is this. They're going to knock off a conference game off their schedule. That'll give you more room to schedule better teams, and it'll help your RPI, and that'll make things better. That'll work. That'll be the solution. Really? That just says your conference sucks, doesn't it? That's basically what you're saying, is we've got too many teams in our conference and it sucks, and we need to, if we cut off a game, it's not going to suck as much. But there's no guarantee other people are going to go out and schedule better. Not that anybody didn't schedule well in the ACC. There were some teams that didn't, but I didn't think that was the problem. The problem is they didn't beat anybody. And that's where the SEC became this uber conference that it did, was by beating teams in the non-conference. When you beat them in the non-conference, you've set your baseline. I talk about this a lot, maybe too much. All right. That is this, that, and the other. Again, brought to you by Ironwood, by Darshackow Insurance, and by Ballyhoo Grill. Let's get to our Hugh, Cain, Allstate Mayhem Moment.
The Gator Nation is in good hands with local Allstate agent Hugh Cain. Stop by Alachua Marketplace Plaza in Alachua and get a free quote today.
All right, here it is, this couple getting married in a very idyllic setting. It's really nice, except it's on a golf course. And this guy's hit his ball over there. He gets it out of the cart path, which he can, and plays. right through the wedding. He's playing through. Let me tell you what, I would have done exactly the same thing, but I couldn't hit it left-handed. I'd have to hit it right-handed. But that is just hilarious when you see that. Oh, these people they're just so in love too. They're you can tell that this is a big deal. Meanwhile, this guy in shorts, shirt out, probably had a couple of brewskis earlier. Looks like a nice course. I want to know where this is. I never did find out. All right. That is our Hugh, Cain, Allstate Mayhem Moment. We have fun with the Mayhem Moments, as always. All right, let's get to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. And, of course, Adams Ribco, the place to go if you want great ribs, but anything barbecue, it is the place to go. Also, Friday, tomorrow, I'm pretty sure they still have the Nana's Nuggets. If I'm wrong about that, these fish nuggets are melting your mouth. Adam will let me know if I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they still have them. In fact, I may go over there tomorrow and make sure, so I can make sure I can say it. And while I'm there, I might as well have a couple of Nana's Nuggets. All right, let's get to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week, and that is Paula Francisco, and maybe it's Francesco, but it's Francisco is the way it's spelled. She played really well this weekend at the NCAA regionals. Actually was in the lead for a while, ended up losing by one shot, was a runner-up in the NCAA regional, and of course led Florida. I think she shot 4 under. Really golfing her ball, man. I am so proud of her and so proud of all those young ladies that are going to go to the NCAA championships out at La Costa. If they need me to go with them, like to just, caddy or something, I wouldn't mind going to La Costa and walking around there. That'd be beautiful. All right, Paula is our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. I think that's a first for her. I don't think she's been Gator of the Week yet, so now she has been. Let us move along to our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Pick. Drew Barry, I did send off your certificate yesterday, so it'll get there eventually. I found your old address, or your new address, but I found it. Anyway, our Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks, place to go for pizza and the place to go to get a Dooley's, which is a Parmesan sub, and it is so good. Ugh, it's just, now I'm getting hungry again. All right, let's get to our Leonardo's Quick Pick, see who we can get to qualify. We're about a week away from making a pull. All right, here's a simple question. It's a yes or no question. All you have to do is send the answer to patrickdooley54@gmail.com. Very easy to qualify for this contest. We've been getting some new people in, which is what I want. I want to get new people because we can't keep giving $25 to the same people over and over again. They're going to go in there with $100 and go, hey, I'll have all the things on the salad bar. Anyway, here's the question, yes or no? And you have to have it in by 7:30 Friday. Does Florida win a game this weekend in baseball? At number 1, Texas. They might not. But in fact, if I was betting on this, guessing on this, I would say yes. I just feel like between Peterson and King, one of them will give them the kind of performance they need to win. But and you never know how. I think every game's its own game in baseball, probably more so than anything else because pitching changes. But you wonder if this team gets its confidence shot a little bit from what happened Tuesday night. But again, everything changes, and then changes again. That's according to Tom Petty. All right, that is our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. Let's get to our Los Linderos Smooth Move of the Week. Los Linderos Tequila, go beyond. We appreciate them for being a sponsor. And of course, Urban is involved in that too. All right, this was something that happened very under the radar. And this is why it's a smooth move, because it's not getting a lot of pub. But I read the story, and I guess it's still reports, okay? And the report is that the SEC is thinking about going to 9 games now because ESPN has decided to go ahead and pay it maybe $25 to $30 million extra above the contract. Now, I don't know why they decided to do that. I don't know if it certainly bolsters their inventory when you think about it. Okay, well, we were going to have this game on, but now we can have Florida, Alabama, or we can have Tennessee and Ole Miss, whatever it is. The SEC is what you want to watch. So obviously, more SEC games is good. Now, this isn't going to happen this year. This year's schedule is already set. It has been interesting that the schedule has not come out for 2026. And maybe this is why they're trying to finalize this, and then they'll be able to come out with the schedule. I don't know that for a fact, but it sounds interesting to me. But if the SEC is going to 9 games next year, think about how tough, like we've talked about how tough Florida's schedule was last year and how I believe it's tougher this year. I will say this, though, and this is something else I was going to say at the quarterback club, but I couldn't get to it. Florida's so much better equipped to handle their schedule. I'm not sure it's tougher than last year. You can look at it symmetrically, okay, now you got to go on the road, now you got to do there's 3 games in a row you've got to manage. And I know there's late games, but those 3 games are kind of early, but not really early. And that's LSU. You're going to be facing a guy who, according to one mock draft I saw, is a number 1 pick. You're going to be facing Miami, who's got a quarterback who's making $4 million. And you're going to face, now I'm blanking on who you face, Texas, where you got another quarterback, an Arch Manning, who I saw was another mock draft's number 1 pick. So you get through that. If you could get through that 2-1, you're in the playoffs, man. That's my feeling. But anyway, I digress. But the point is, very tough schedules 2 years in a row for Florida. Next year could even be tougher if you make it 9 games in the SEC. There aren't too many easy games to play here. Okay, let's get to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. Of course, Gallo Car Wash, place to go to get your car wash. It's just put it in neutral, and then it just drives you right through. It's really cool. All right, our sponge of the week, even though they lost yesterday, even though she made the last out of the game, it's still going to be Corby Otis. Proud of the way she is able to soak up all of being a student athlete at the University of Florida. They talked about what her major was and I can't remember, but it had to do with throat, I think. But she's going to be a doctor, basically. And she made a 4.0 this year and is an all-SEC player and All-American. And so she has soaked up the entire experience. And now she is the SEC softball Scholar Athlete of the Year. And I think she's the first softball player to get that award. But made a 4.0, Scholar Athlete of the Year in the SEC. Come on, man. That is soaking up your college experience. All right, that is our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. All right, let us wrap it up as we always do with our Swamp games of the weekend. The Swamp, the place to go to watch a lot of these games. There are plenty of them to watch. We can't get to all of them, but we'll give you what we think are the big ones. Baseball, here's the schedule. On Friday, 7:30, it's on ESPNU. So that's like regular TV. That's the way I call it. And then they play Saturday at 2. That's on the Plus. Sunday at 2 is on the Plus. By the way, there is a Sunday night game, Philly at Cleveland. Want to make sure I got that out there for Ken Hesser. Philly's at Cleveland. That's 7 o'clock on ESPN. Lacrosse is playing Mercer at 4 o'clock on Friday. Go out and support them tomorrow. Nothing else going on here in town, so go out and watch them. That is not on TV anywhere that I can find. I may be able to find it just by going to Pluses. Sunday, we don't know when they're going to play for sure and who they're going to play, but they do play again Sunday, assuming they win. Of course, I assumed Florida was going to win in softball. That's why we didn't have a radio show today. They screwed me up. I give them golf is starting Monday, just so you guys know. And they're in Bremerton, Washington. There's not any TV that I can find until they get to the like the quarterfinals, and they start showing all the matches. Once it gets to match play, they start showing a lot of matches. So keep an eye out for that on the Golf Channel. But we'll tell you more about it a little bit later. Tonight, Golden State at Miami, 8:30 start TNT. That means I can stay up and watch it. Yay! 8:30. See, that means you got a 10 o'clock finish, maybe. No, it's fine. No, you have an 11 o'clock finish. 11 o'clock's fine. I can do that on a Friday. I don't have anything going on tomorrow. It's on TNT. And then if they play again, it's on ABC. So the games Saturday are on ABC. New York Boston also is a 7:30 game on ABC. All right, is that it? I'm trying to. When I get to the bottom of my page, it's hard to read because I'm trying to squeeze more stuff in. But hopefully, we squeezed plenty in today. And I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Cornelius Ingram. What a great dude he is, and we can't wait to watch his son play. Don't forget, Monday, Coach Spurrier returns after his golf excursions. We can't wait to hear about them. And then on Thursday, Urban Meyer will join us. That is it for another Duly Noted podcast, presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back. And so is Zach Rothrock. He is also out of here.